Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Chris.
From the Miniatures Rundown. We're going to go over some of the minis news of the day. So the first story we've got is about the Arvus lighter model. It's an aircraft model for the Horus Heresy game. It's been out of production, but it's coming back. They tell us it's going to be back on the Forge World website for sale at some, as they often do, some unspecified point called soon.
All right, so it's going to be resin and it's going to be expensive.
Probably. They definitely said it will be resin. That's not changing. No announcement of the price yet. This is a light transport unit, so it holds only 12 infantry models. It's intended for elite squadrons of smaller numbers, and I guess it's supposed to have a pretty cheap point cost. So for not a lot of points, it's effective even though it's lightly armored and not heavily weaponed.
Because it's cheap in points, you can take enough of them so you can get your elites into the positions they need to be in.
Rules for this model are already in the Liber Imperium rulebook. Right.
Cool. Now, the Arvus lighter here, this thing, it's a box with 2 engines and 2 short stubby wings. Okay? You're looking at the proverbial brick that can fly.
Yeah.
It's the F4. With enough thrust, even a brick can fly.
It also reminds me of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, the line about the way that the ships hung in the air, exactly the way that bricks don't. That's how we'll imagine that when we see it on the tabletop. So our next story is the faction standings have officially been released for competitive play in Warhammer 40K. These are straight from Games Workshop, these numbers. They're aggregated across all these different tournaments. We've been seeing some news coming in from individual tournaments about what's doing best, but this is kind of everything analyzed and put together. And it's no surprise that the Eldari are killing it, because that's what we've been hearing. 67% of the wins are Eldari, with Genestealer cults coming in a close second.
I mean, you get a fistful of dice that you get to use substitute in for any of your other roles.
Yeah.
And Genestealers just keep coming back and coming back and coming back.
And they've already nerfed that Eldari ability once. I wonder what they're going to do next to balance it out. I doubt they'll remove it entirely, but one wonders.
Who else was doing really well?
Genestealer cults, Imperial Knights are next after that, and Custodes. Those are the top 4. Eldari, Genestealer cults, Knights, and Custodes.
Yeah.
We've got your normal Space Marines kind of in the middle of the pack. Space Wolves, Dark Angels.
That is what Games Workshop wants to do. It wants things to be middle of the pack so equal opponents of equal skill have the same chance of winning. So they don't want to see anything with a worse than 45% win rate or a better than 55% win rate.
Yeah, and this is far from that. Interestingly, to me anyway, Leagues of Votann is rock bottom at 35%. Quite a switch up from when they first came out and people were complaining that they were overpowered because they were the new hotness. Their tides have really turned, and their stature is not only physically short, but now their stature in the standings is as small as it can get.
Well, they're in good company down there.
How so?
Yeah, Tau, Death Guard, Adeptus. I'm surprised Adeptus Mechanicus is higher than Death Guard and Tau, but...
Why does that surprise you?
Because they really got hit when the indexes came out. They lost points of armor, they lost ballistics. It's like Imperial Guard again.
All right, well, we'll see what they do. They say they've got a new data slate coming out next month, September, to try to correct some of this and get these a little bit closer. And finally, our last story for today is WizKids releasing new models to coincide with the new Bigby book about giants. Bigby presents Glory of the Giants. We have a limited edition boxed set. It has a Fire Hellion, a Frostmourne, Stone Giant of Evil Earth, Goliath. I think that should be Chief, but it says Chef. And it literally said that on the site that I will admit that I copy-pasted this bullet list into our own news article. So I inherited a typo.
Does the model wear a white hat?
I don't know, and I don't know if it's going to make you a giant omelet. But it's probably a Goliath Chief. And then finally, a giant Lynx.
Which is the smallest miniature in the set.
Yeah, if you look at this image, it's pretty interesting that there are these 2 relatively little guys, and then I'm huge! The rest of these guys towering above them by at least 3 times as high, it looks like. Interesting things going on with dimensions. There's also a single model, the Death Giant Necromancer. quite a large model. I'm guessing that's also size huge.
Oh, yeah.
Finally, there's a booster box with random minis in it. You can buy a single box or a so-called brick of 8. And in each one of these boxes, you'll have 1 huge and 3 medium or small miniatures. No large, interestingly. They jump a whole size category right up into huge.
They're going with all giants.
But medium and small. They still have 3 medium or small creatures in there.
Keeping production costs down
Probably.
and shipping weight.
That's also probably true. That's it.
Making things up.
That's it for our daily news today. These are all stories on our parent site, GameTalkNetwork.com. You can find them in the blog there, and you can check it every day for more updates. As always, throw us a like, throw us a subscribe. It's free to you, and it helps us. We like to know that you love us. Tell us what you're excited about in any of these particular news today. Do you have a faction that you play in 40K that you're worried is getting nerfed, or you're glad they might buff up a little bit? Are you going to buy this Arvus lighter model? And what do you think about the D&D Giants? So until next time, this has been the Miniatures Rundown.
Thank you.